All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Skywind 2024 ModCon presentation. I am Newton's fourth. I am a lead on the Skywind team. I help run the file cutting department, which, in case you don't know, is essentially a audio processing job to help with our voice acting team. But my primary role is as a level designer. Been on the team for 4.5, nearing on 5 years now, and I am a Morrowind super nerd. Happy to be here with you all, and thanks for tuning in. I've got 2 other people joining me, so without any further ado, would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Yes, hello. My name is Marco. I am a recent addition to the Skywind team. I am also a part of the level design / landscaping team, so I've been working on recent sales and additions to the world of Morrowind. I will also be handling Q&A today, so if you have any questions, please send them through the Twitch chat so I can start collecting them, and whenever we have downtime or any other time to just discuss, and I can ask questions, you can ask them towards us, the devs, or just the general Morrowind questions about the game. I'd also quickly like to add, if you have the time or consideration, please consider donating to Doctors Without Borders. Even $1 goes to like some extra bit of gauze or bandages to a bunch of refugees and people in need all over the world, and help your fellow man out. And if you want to contribute, we also highly recommend looking at the devlog video we posted on our channel, and also checking out the Skywind website. We have always a massive desire for more people to come in and work with us. And yeah, thank you very much. Newton?
All right. Well, I believe we have one more.
Yes, I've been waiting for Marco. Hello, I'm Overseer, and I've been on the team for over 3 years now. I've been handling mostly level design stuff, including a lot of exterior work, which you're gonna see today. This is a bit of a foreshadowing, and also some other things that you're gonna see today. And I'm very happy to be here with you all. Hi, hello.
All right. Um, well, assuming we don't have any other issues with the stream, given that we had a brief hiccup with our audio, I think we can get going. All right. So we've scripted out a bit of a route for you all to show a few locations we're particularly proud of, and have also been done recently, just to show off some of our more new level design. So, starting off, there's a lot of holes in the wall in Morrowind, aren't there? There's a
Yeah,
lot
they
of
all
random
suspiciously
caves.
have doors.
Yeah. There's kind of just things all over the place. Um, I don't. There's almost. I believe Morrowind has more density of dungeons than any other Elder Scrolls game. Unless you want to start talking about Daggerfall.
Yes.
But its
Yeah,
map
that is
is
the
slightly
case.
smaller, but it's filled with stuff.
It's kind of the interesting thing that despite Morrowind being only like 2/3 of Skyrim's map in size, it has about the same amount, the same, uh, the same
Density of
amount of
maps.
dungeons.
Yeah, Morrowind's map, we'll get into this a little bit more later, but Morrowind's map, in terms of its exterior, had some pretty cool tricks to make that world feel bigger. Once we actually check out the exterior, we'll show that off. But for now, I believe we have a dungeon we need to check out.
What can you tell us about this dungeon, Newton?
Well, I can point out one thing that many of you have probably noticed, which is that I'm currently holding a sword underwater. Which, if you've played
Yeah,
Skyrim,
world combat,
yes, we do have underwater combat. I should probably cast water breathing as well, so I don't die.
casting spells underwater is such an amazing addition, and also limpets that react to.
Oh yeah, let me show some of these off. Just a lot of
Yeah, they're
things to
quite
make the world feel more interactive. Underwater
Yeah,
combat was
afraid of you.
Yeah, underwater combat was something that I enjoyed a lot in Morrowind, especially just the grotto style of dungeon, and I'm very glad that we were able to bring it back. Oh god, combat music.
It just
Uh-oh.
expands our. Oh, a Drew.
I don't know, I think it's Dreg? Maybe? See,
I don't know.
this is why we have a whole team for voice acting.
You know, it is the same case as with the Kim or Chim. There are so
I
many
think
different
it's
ways
Time?
people pronounce it.
We're in front of an audience. We're making ourselves look like fools by not knowing how to pronounce our own game. It's perfect.
Listen, Morrowind didn't have a lot of audio. We are excused.
Yeah. This is why we have a pronunciation guide.
Everyone has their own pronunciation. It's what makes the experience more intimate, I guess, you know?
When I was a kid, I thought that Nesis was pronounced Genesis, and I just kept calling it Genesis for some reason. I don't know why.
Calling it that until right now.
Okay.
So thanks for illuminating me.
Oh god, I'm dying. Okay.
Yeah, all these amazing like SFX, VFX,
Yeah,
animations.
let's show off some of our spells.
Features y'all see.
You have plenty of spells we can show off.
Yeah, so obviously the main question is where's spellcrafting? In progress is the answer. However, we've kind of done a combination of Morrowind's and other game systems. So we are going to have spellcrafting, where there's this kind of modular system, but we also have some custom spells. Like that. Also, I'm about to die. Don't die on stream.
Yeah, that would be very unfortunate.
So it's this combination of existing things and new ideas that we're kind of blending together to make Skywind unique. Show that off one more time, by the way.
Yeah, and I believe that we are utilizing the Skyrim Shout slot for spells that can be cast without... Yeah, I think you could show off like one of the quick weapon enchanting spells that we have going.
Let's get to that when we get our next combat encounter. I think that'd be fun to show off, though.
Yeah, all these beautiful visual effects you all see, you wonderful people, all being handcrafted, made, and if you're interested in working on it, we would definitely appreciate
We need a lot of visual effects.
any NIF scope like wizards that are like hiding in like a deep dungeon, please come out of the woodwork. We are desperate for you.
Yeah, NIFscope is one of those programs which, in case you don't know, for people who are listening and don't have any modding experience, NIFscope is essentially a 3D model editing program, but less Blender-esque, more focused on textures and stuff. It is extraordinarily difficult to use, and there is essentially no online tutorial for how to use it. So we just gotta make do.
So people who are utilizing NIFscope, who know how to use it, and especially create like special effects with it, they are pretty much wizards. I think that's like a spot-on description.
Yeah. Given that we've been talking about this for a bit, I'll show a couple of our other spells. Primarily.
In the meantime, you can also see how we are blending different kinds of locations together. So we were in a cave for a section, then we are back in Daedric Ruins. Morrowind did that quite a lot, didn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of examples of it. The ones that immediately come to mind, honestly, are the ones... There's a few in the Blood Moon DLC, but there's also just a lot of Daedric Ruins that have cave sections in them, really to help emphasize their age. I mean, this is a great example. But the way that Morrowind did that was a little bit clunky. Often it would just have a cave and then a door and then a whole Daedric section, which can look fine, but this more smooth blend where it kind of makes sense, while one is a lot harder to do, also just looks a lot better. Can take a really long time to get something like this to look good, but it really pays off.
Yes, and at the same time, it is a lot more feasible to do it with the assets we have created, because our tileset, for people who are watching, tilesets are like sets of 3D models that can be used to be joined together and create unique locations. It's a lot more flexible, and we have a lot more pieces than, for example, Morrowind's tileset. I believe we have, for Vivek, there are like several hundred models, but I might be completely wrong, but I think there's a lot of variety, and flexibility just goes through the roof.
Another thing to point out is this piece you see we're standing in, this is actually not one 3D model. This floor is one 3D model, and the wall is a separate 3D model. That might seem inconsequential, but what this means is we can make a room without a floor, make a room where the floor turns into a cave, make a room where it opens up like this. We just have so many possibilities of what we can do with our tile sets.
Also, a very tall hallway. Just imagine, like, yeah, a very tall.
I believe I've made one of those in one of my dungeons. I think I just stacked 2 hallway sets on top of each other. Looks great. Also,
that's a cute trap.
Well, I don't think it. It doesn't really look like a trap. It looks like they kind of just pushed the guy in here. Unfortunate. Wouldn't want to be there.
Yeah, I don't think he was a willing subject.
Well, maybe he likes spikes.
I would want to have an exact zero amount of spikes in me. I don't know why there are so many spike enjoyers in this dungeon, but it's kind of awkward.
They're part of the spike club. They they made
Spike club.
dedicate their lives to the spike. All right.
You could
Oh my
say
God,
it sharpens.
there are so many puns.
You could say it sharpens their senses.
Oh my god.
We're
Sharpens their sense
yeah,
of
they're
mortality.
they're spike girls.
Well, we're going
Too
to
many
be
puns.
walking to another location. While we're doing that, Marco, could we get a few questions from chat if you have any?
Yes, I do have some. Let me pull those up real quick. But one that I remember seeing right off the bat was comparing Morrowind level design from the original to this project. How's it different in regards to like OG building styles? Have you ever been able to retain any of them?
So this is an interesting question that is a little multi-layered. This will also tie into something we bring up when we go over the exterior level design. Exteriors are pretty one-to-one. The interiors, in general, our floor plans, as you might have noticed from that dungeon, are quite different than the original dungeon. The actual room shapes are not the same, but something that we do a lot of care to keep consistent is making sure the original intent is the same. A good example of this is a dungeon I worked on when I first joined the team. The floor plan, the actual layout of the rooms, is nothing alike, but the concept, a tomb filled with Daedric monsters, is identical. And in the original game, the intent was to make it look like the monsters had come in and trashed the place. While I might have changed around the room order, it's still meant to be a place where it looks like Daedric monsters came in and trashed the place. And it really...
Also another big...
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Also another big thing that we had to consider for updating level design spaces was levitation.
Oh, yes. We'll be showing off, well, not levitation, but something quite similar in this next dungeon we're heading to. Yeah, levitation is interesting. Oh, yeah, you have a comment over here?
Yeah, I wanted to say that levitation, as a general, enforces us to do something that they really love, which is detailing every single area, especially so in exteriors. Because in Skyrim, you could get away with having like an empty mountaintop, but in Skywind, it should at least have that basic level of detail or some hidden secrets, loot to be found. So that's a very interesting thing.
Another important note on that is that in a lot of dungeons, especially caves and Daedric ruins, there are levitation-only areas, which are only accessible if you have the levitate or a strong enough jump or acrobatics spell. And that way we're kind of, not just making it a cool way to get around, but genuinely rewarding players for thinking, hey, I wonder what's up there. There's a specific dungeon I made, I remember, where near the end, you can just skip the entire dungeon with levitation if you have it, and just do it in reverse order. I'm certain Overseer, you've done plenty of similar stuff. You have any examples?
I think right now, I believe the main example would be Tel Vos, really, as a general, because it requires a lot of levitation to get around. I believe so. I have included a lot more areas that require levitation actually underneath the tower. So in the caves, there's like plenty of sections that necessitate the use of levitation or substantially strong acrobatic skill.
Yeah, if you have a scroll of a carrion play.
I see we've made it to a sixth house location, haven't we?
Yes, so sixth house locations kind of tie into what we were saying earlier about mixing tile sets together. Except in the case of the sixth house, they don't really have rooms or structures in the same way. Like, sixth house wall.
Furniture.
Yeah, they have they like stacking chairs. It's kind of interesting to take the limited assets we do have that are sixth house themed and insert them into another set, in this case the cave one, and just see how we can make it look. As a note, I mentioned we'd be showing off a spell here. Let me see. Where is jump? Ah, here we go. Alright. Well, I might flashbang everyone watching by accidentally falling in lava if I mess this up. But let's try to not do that. Ah, there we go.
So far, so good.
Here's an example of an area which rewards you for having the jump spell. Which, while jump was a thing in Morrowind, it wasn't really that useful except for getting around. And having it for situations like this, or if I wanted to jump in that hole, for instance, can be really useful. And we really try to consider these things to make dungeons that actually encourage unique and intelligent magic use.
So I think this dungeon is a fine example of what you talked about, like interior design sort of fluidity compared to the original Morrowind.
Yeah, this is a pretty different layout than the original. Just a bunch of cave rooms, but still in a different order to make it flow a little bit more smoothly. But obviously, conceptually, it's the same idea. This was a 6th house base in the original, and a small one at that, and therefore it is still a small 6th house base. Oh, I don't know what I got.
I think as a general rule, we just try to realize the characteristics of the location, the look that can be found there, and we just implement it into the new locations. Sometimes it is really necessary to change the layout, because in original game, especially so in Balmora, there was a lot of well, the interiors didn't really match how they looked outside, so you could just walk to the smallest house in the town and you would enter a huge hall inside. So there's a lot of that involved in recreating the locations, making sure that they fit the landscape around them.
Bells.
So do I hear something here? I hear those bells, don't
You
I?
do. There's we have a lot of sound effects. For 6th house, it's really weird and creepy. In fact,
Our sound effect team is amazing.
Also, let me grab a new weapon. I think the sword's a little too blood-covered for my tastes. Or actually, didn't we say we wanted to show off our staff?
We did.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, this is the perfect time, unless I die somehow. So, in Morrowind...
Do you have any potions left?
I have a few. In Morrowind, if you all remember, you can enchant items on use, especially for staves. In Skywind, you can do the same thing, and actually use them. Notably, we have an animation for it, which is very different than Morrowind, where an on-use would just have it come from your hands, because they didn't have anything custom for it. We've really tried to actually make it feel like, you know, the on-use enchantment is an on-use enchantment. Morrowind's enchantment system is so dynamic. I'm really happy we're bringing it back. I feel
Also,
like so
just a
much
quick
missed.
note, we got an anonymous donation for $100.
Oh,
Thank you so
wow!
much.
Thank you very much.
Anything that
That's
goes
amazing.
toward Doctors Without Borders, that it's greatly appreciated. We're so happy to get any donation. So please consider donating if you have the opportunity.
Absolutely.
And also, I think so mentioned if we have a Skyrim concept where there's a quest to get back to the start of a dungeon.
Yes. So that is a thing. This is a level design quirk that is in a lot of Skyrim dungeons, and it is in a couple. It is in this dungeon, for instance. But it's something that we essentially try to almost never do, unless it really feels necessary. The Skyrim quick get back to a start of a dungeon is iconic. You know, you push a secret door and all of a sudden you're back at the start. And it's useful, it makes sense from a game design perspective, but it feels a little weird. So I can think, if I had to guess, I'd say it's only in around 5% of the dungeons we've made. Well, of course we're showing one of them off right now as I talk about how we're rarely using it. But it's important to keep in mind that one of the parts of this project is not just noticing what was wrong with Morrowind and needs to be fixed, but also noticing some of the faults in Skyrim and seeing how we can improve on their style of level design. All right.
Yeah, I think on the faults of Skyrim's design, you won't see a lot of locations in Skywind that are designed like pretty much huge corridors that just don't have any splitting paths. I think we have a lot of locations that actually do feature several paths in which they can be approached.
I remember a dungeon one of my friends on the team was working on recently. They showed it to me, and it didn't even have a central path. It was basically just 15 different corridors that all met up at the end.
Yeah, that's
And
amazing.
how you-
Morrowind Design 101.
Alright, well, I want to... Okay, I don't want to die. I want to die from fall damage while on stream. Where's slow fall?
Okay, so there's one more thing I wanted to touch up about our to touch on when we are in the exteriors.
Go for it.
Before we've mentioned that we are trying to keep the locations similar in nature, and it especially so applies in the exteriors because we can't really change the design, the layout of the paths. All of that stays the same. What we are doing pretty much is there's a lot more elevation going, as you can see, because, well, there's a lot less fog in Skywind, or at least there is a lot of fog still, but there are days when it is completely clear. And so it is important to have a lot of side blockers, such as, well, mountains, hills, or there, there's pretty much just a lot of stuff going on in the exteriors to keep you occupied, to keep your eyes busy.
Such as these guys. Ooh, I'm gonna try my best to. They're fighting each other. I am a peaceful guy. I'm gonna try to not get involved in that.
You don't
Oh,
look
I also
peaceful.
got, as we're coming up on this Dwemer ruin, someone asked if we are going to get a look at them. I can answer this one. We will unfortunately not be looking at them to this time around, but perhaps in the future we might.
Also, you should check out one of our dev videos on our YouTube channel. We showed off a Dwemer ruin quite recently in a gameplay demo. I believe it was one from a Fighters Guild quest, so absolutely worth taking a look at. Also,
Yes,
Cliff
and
Racers.
Jordan, it was flying
It's
high, so high.
Oh god.
the friend. And I think we're also coming up on a new region, aren't we?
Yes,
Yes.
Overseer, this is your time to share.
Oh yeah, obviously. So, Grazelands, yes. My pride and joy, a region that took me almost a year to finish, and there's a very good reason for that. Most of our regions were in a working condition, and most of stuff that had to be done there was limited to adding some critters or sound markers or making sure that there are no seams in landscape. Gracelands were quite different. Gracelands had to be designed from the ground up. Like, it was pretty much just land mesh with some random hills and a surprising amount of paths. There was a lot of paths, an ungodly amount of paths linked to every single location. So I had to take a step back and design it from the ground up. So you can see that there's, well, I just love this region. And you can see that the path we are following right now is, well, located between the hills. That is a thing that I really wanted to have as a part of design for this region because Gracelands are quite small compared to different regions. And so you really need those side blockers. So most often when you are following the paths, you will find yourself completely surrounded by the landscape around you and you won't see a single thing. So I think that is a very characteristic trait for this region. And also you have those beautiful hills that are just ending up in eroded, I think it's basalt or some other rock like that, but they're like such a beautiful feature of the region. And there's another thing that not really a lot of people know about when it comes to Grazelands, and we kind of showed it off during the last ModCon, which is that the region is pretty much split in half. The south of it is blighted and it doesn't really have any trees. Like all of the trees are naked, they are dead, and there's a lot of hackle there. Hackle are found only in the south. And in contrary to the south, north is lush, and I wanted to really show that with the amount of different flora that can be found here. There are a lot of different flowers, as you can see, and it is just in general so colorful and vibrant. And now we are approaching another one of my, well, creations that I'm very proud of, and it is the Tower of Tel Vos, home of Master.
God, this looks really good. As much as I refuse to do a Telvati playthrough on any of my Morrowind runs, I gotta admit, they look pretty cool.
Yeah, I just love the idea of this huge mushroom protruding from the ruins. It is just beautiful, okay? And I really wanted to have those roots just spiraling on the sides. And that is another thing that I really took attention to in interiors. There's a lot of spaces in which like the roots just break through the wall and you see like the ruined parts, sections with bricks completely fallen over.
You have a
Yeah,
weird
even here
hat.
in the exterior you can see it.
Look at this person's hat. I never was able to tell what these
That-
were when I was playing the game for the first time, when I was like 8. I
They
looked
are
at this.
called
Well,
There's something.
It's a little buggy, isn't it?
helmets.
Yeah, there's a lot of bugs in this game.
And you know what's the
Looks
interesting
like-
part?
Mhm.
This helmet, I believe, has the highest enchanting capacity of
Well,
all.
that makes
Oh, I
sense.
think Argyle joined us.
Oh, we have a very special
Oh.
person
We have a new
coming
guest
in.
coming in.
Yeah, we have a new guest.
Dude.
Someone new into the fray. Would you like to say hello?
Hey, howdy everyone. Hope you're having a happy creation mod con. My name's Argyle. I'm a writing co-lead with Skywind. I also am a voice actor for some Dunmer, Dark Elves, for the less native Dunmeri savvy amongst us. And I've also done some orcs. Pleasure to be here.
Glad to have you.
Speaking of
Joined
writing, what can you tell
right
us
in
about
time.
what can you tell us about the lore of Tel Vos?
Okay. Is there anything you guys have gone over already?
Yeah,
So I
there's a lot
won't
of
be.
plans.
Nothing.
We have just shown up.
Oh, okay, great.
Here.
So, as many people know, Morrowind is generally divided into three political factions. There is the Telvanni, which is the relevant one here. I mean, just like social Darwinist wizards who determine the law based off of who wins. You know, great foundation for a society. And the master of this wizard tower is a bit eccentric, even for Telvanni standards. He is a big fan of imperial culture, or at least he finds it interesting. So he illegally usurped the land ownership that was previously here to build his own wizard tower, to be a wizard lord. And besides growing it as a mushroom, which is what the Telvanni do, he also commissioned for there to be a brick and mortar imperial fort style tower as well. He's kind of nuts for that.
I will briefly point
he's
out
still a bit
the
more normal.
than was it Thorana? I believe I don't. My
Yeah,
Telvanni memory
Thorana.
up to snuff. I'm a
I
Redoran
think
till
her
the
brain
end of
is
the day.
literally rotting. That's kind of in the lore.
I want to briefly point out these posters that we have. Our 2D team has been hard at work creating a lot of posters and textures and paintings, which we'll see some more of later, to just make the space feel more real and properly lived in. Really helps fill out the walls with just interesting things to catch your eye.
Yeah, Fury and Dal have been a major contribution as the leads of that team, and many others who I have yet to meet. But I'm hoping to meet a lot of people on the team and collaborate with them in my spaces.
This Cliff Racer anatomy is missing the part where it just describes how terrifying they are. Keep chasing you over and over. Get 15 of them at once.
Is this still is this still considered friendship though? That's the real question.
Have we properly credited the Overseer for this tower?
Yes, we've
Oh,
gone
yes,
over it.
Overseer.
This is their work.
Tell us about this space. Too.
What was your mindset while you were creating it? Like what things did you keep in mind? Oh my god, get out of the
Shall
way.
not pass.
I am off limits? I have strong enough legs.
Should have used the jump spell there.
I should have used the jump spell, good point. But yeah, Overseer, what was your thought process while designing this location? Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
I think Overseer might have been. I think Overseer might have zero summed.
The rain must have gotten to him.
Oh no.
This is one of the fun parts of having an international passion project.
Yeah, we're all from all over the world. So, well, you know, this is how it goes.
Some people think that the time juggling is the issue. It's always the connectivity at the end of the day.
Yeah, people are in different areas, and it's very hard to get communication. However, I will say, on that topic, I'm very glad that we're so widespread. I feel like we have such a diverse team of people from so many different backgrounds that we get so many unique ideas. People kind of sprinkling bits of their own experience into their level design and work, and writing and everything else. And that can just be so great for the team.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm also happy on just like a broader level that there's so much camaraderie in the Skyrim modding like community as well. I mean, just coming together every year for Creation ModCon, I always think this is a ton of fun, and having the charity aspect this time am I correct that we're doing Doctors Without Borders?
Yes,
Is that still the case? Yeah.
Yes. you are.
Again, please consider donating. I mean, such important work is being done here. I feel bad. Oh, there he goes. The connectivity too rough on Overseer. But yeah, keep the donations coming. I've heard great stuff so far. But yeah, this is the Dwemer Museum. Overseer, are you back?
I believe so.
Hello.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, hello.
Tell us about this museum,
That's
Overseer.
grand.
Tell us.
Oh, so we are in the Dwemer Museum. Actually, that's a little-known feature of the original Tel Vos. I mean, Tel Vos in general had so many unique features to it that didn't really get anywhere in original game. So my goal with the location was mostly to just build on what was already there. So you can see that this museum not only has some displays and artifacts, but it also has plaques describing what exactly they are. And so it is a proper museum. And also, I think there's an imperial section to the museum that is down here.
We got
and
some of those
it
paintings
is
we
a
were talking about earlier.
Also, shout out to the flavor text writers. So proud of all you guys. I mean, This Skywind has flavor text out the the wazoo. It's so much cool stuff. Oh, we got a tilted head
Yes,
over
the
there.
help of
Looking
them,
somewhere.
those were invaluable.
Now, I don't... Yeah, okay, I was gonna say I wasn't sure if the items in our inventory had them yet, but they seem to. You might notice here, weapons and other items have information about them. They have flavor text, giving you a brief description of what it is, potentially a quote, some lore. Yeah, they're not on everything at the moment, but they will be on everything when the project is done. And
If you haven't noticed,
I'm so excited for
we're kind of nerdy and we like to go really in depth with it, and we will go in depth with
Yeah.
it if we give it the opportunity.
All right.
I'm totally putting all my faith in that this is like a nerd exclusive event.
Oh, I activated a thing. Overseer, what did I do?
Oh, what might that be? Well, that's another thing that was present in original Tel Vos, but almost nobody knows about it. The hidden doors and loot in all of the towers, pretty much all of the towers, I believe. So basically, you have like hidden entrances which hide the chests of loot, but I have kind of expanded on it. So some of the areas lead, some of those hidden doors lead you to new hidden rooms or to fight encounters. So it is that idea of building up on what's already there all over again.
To not embarrass myself by failing to lockpick in front of hundreds of people, I'm gonna use the knock spell. How do I...
Smart.
Yeah,
You
lock
hold it.
spells are a thing,
There we
people.
go.
Yeah, it's just got a long casting animation.
Makes sense.
Gotta be patient.
I am
You can
the
see
opposite.
There's a
that the
spell for
towers are
everything.
literally collapsing.
A dagger.
There's a spell for everything in this game, people. Explore them, try them out once they come out.
I will briefly bring up the fact that while spellcrafting is absolutely going to be in the game, it is not finished yet. And if anybody, this is a bit of a stretch. If anyone here is really good with UI development in the context of adding menus to the CK, you should volunteer.
Particularly if you are familiar with Flash,
Yeah.
because that's part of the big bottleneck is it's Flash based.
For some reason, I didn't know that until you told me about it. I don't know why it is, but it is. So if you have Flash experience and UI experience, we need spellcrafting to be done. And the more people we have, the sooner we can get that out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good.
I think now that we have a bit of downtime, I can ask us another question, and then we can get to we have some time for a more big question time.
Right on. What's
Someone
going on in
asked-
chat?
Yeah, someone asked, do they need the English Morrowind install to use our mod, or will their German version work just fine?
So, we are going to require owning Morrowind in order to play as Skywind. However, unfortunately at this time, we can't give specific answers about which version, just because that's information that we'll essentially not have until the project's done and we're focused on release as a team. I would hope so, though, but it will really just depend on a few quirks as we start really approaching release.
I would say also, I mean, even though we haven't really put too much work into developing the DRM at this point, because we aren't looking to like release tomorrow, of course, I would say that the team would really want to have the precedent of if you own Morrowind, you can play Skyrim. As long as you have a valid copy, I think that's what should be important, not the language settings.
Yeah, I'm not I do level design, so I'm not the most technical person, but I would imagine is a way to check for any copy of Morrowind.
Yo, can we just get like a little like soft pan around this beautiful settlement?
I'm actually gonna hard pan to the Guars for a moment because I
Okay.
love them and they're adorable. Look at the I love Guars.
They're amazing. However,
Look at the little
Can I get
guy.
they're
Can we get
goofy.
Guars in the chat, folks?
Yeah.
Can we get Guars in the chat?
Can we Guar? This is. We
Oh,
need to
he's
get
kind of
this
he's
complete.
kind of sitting still. Oh, he's alive. He's still
Yeah, but have you
breathing.
noticed
Don't
that
worry.
every single project, including like official ESO, does small guars using chicken animations.
Well,
It is like such a consistent feature.
I will point out on that topic of animations, I don't believe there's anything nearby that can properly show it off. However, we are planning on getting custom animations for our creatures. It's gonna take a while and kind of is a bottleneck. So, if you have animation experience, your talent would be extremely appreciated. If you check out the progress updates channel on our Discord, you can see some of our animations that have been recently coming along. I don't know.
We've actually got a good
Oh.
addition of animators recently. I think they're the most friendly like team within the project, like department wise. All the animators that we've gotten recently are like the sweetest, most like constructive criticism type people I've ever watched in any art field. I mean, it's just a great team, and there's a lot of great creature work going around right now. So, I mean, any animators out there, like, if there was a time to join the Skyrim animation team, I'd say, like, right now is a great opportunity.
Okay, I'm gonna have to force myself to stop looking at these guars because I love them and we need to move on.
You can do
Quick
it.
shout outs. A lot of the other departments are open as well. So if any of y'all are curious to do level design, nav meshing is always something we welcome.
File
They're
cutting as
all
well.
2D, 3D art.
Yeah, if anyone's interested, we have a Discord server. You can find it on Google. We are totally just available to like have a little like text chat, just like what's available, what do you need to do, like what do we need help with. I mean, it's the same for I think any project out there. We're always open. It's all community led, so I mean we're just happy that you would even consider spending your time with us.
If we can take a brief moment to start talking about this city, we gave a bit of a lore explanation for Tel Vos and talked about how, you know, the intricate mix of Telvanni and Imperial structures is something we really tried to make obvious and also make interesting. Argyle, what would you like to say about Vos?
There's honestly not a lot to say about Vos, which is funny.
Vos?
I mean, even if you go check out UESP, the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages, it's like a very like sentence long article. But you know, essentially, this is a Velothi fishing village. It's very old, kind of out in the middle of nowhere, rural town. Not a lot going on. But since Master Aryan entered and took over Tel Vos, it's kind of somewhat fallen under his jurisdiction and protection. And so as his tower has grown, you can see it's actually invasively been blasting through all of the old Velothi buildings.
Which they just have to deal with. Although it does make navigating around here a little bit more cramped.
Yeah, like the defining feature of Voss is that it's literally just falling apart. And I think it's beautiful. Like, it is falling apart in such an aesthetic way.
Well,
Especially
actually,
when you go outside.
in chat, people are saying, Overseer, you're a little quiet right now. Chat, would you also be willing to tell me if I'm being quiet right now?
You can probably just turn up your microphone then. Yeah, I want to make sure our sound balance, or I can edit our sound balancing. I want to make sure things are working. As an aside, about the city falling apart, here's a fun example of it. If we head down here and don't get stuck...
You're such a jumper, Newton.
I have 100 acrobatics on all of my Morrowind characters because I spam jump as I go through Vivek City.
I think you might need to take out a torch or something. It's looking a little dark on my end.
Yeah, well, we can also just wait till the next day because I want to get some proper sunlight in this location.
Someone said I sound like Todd, and now I feel many different things about that.
I get told I sound like Todd Howard a lot as well, usually while I'm playing online games.
Yeah, I'm shocked it wasn't about Newton. You have two Todds in the chat.
I will play a multiplayer game, and then I will make a call out, and everyone on my team says, "Hey, dude, you kind of sound like Todd Howard," and I don't know how to feel about it.
Newton, can you say the magic words?
It just works, really. Skywind's going to have 16 times the detail.
Oh god, it sounds one-to-one.
Okay.
That's...
So, on the topic of the city falling apart, here's a cool example of it. This was made just recently, I believe, like this month. This little wooden kind of structure to help keep this building from falling apart. I think it looks excellent. You can see the combination of the Telvanni branches coming in, the collapsing wall, and obviously the new scaffolding.
I'm really proud of our level design team. I think it is like one of the most like attention to detail like type folk out there.
16 times the detail, in fact.
Yeah, for real though this time.
Shout out to UCM and Nick, our leads. They're gods to us.
Yeah, they're really helping this project come along. I believe this area was specifically done by Nick.
Yes, the entire Voss is actually his work, and I think it is one of the most beautiful and interesting ideas we got going.
Apologies for trespassing, sir, but I'm here to show off the fact that this house is in fact tilted on the inside to match the exterior.
Living here must be awful.
It can be difficult to make interiors match exteriors, as someone who's worked on a Vivek Canton. It's hard, but obviously, even though 99% of people aren't really going to notice, it's still something that we do care about. I would say Skywind is a game that's kind of filled with minor things that 99% of people aren't going to notice. There's a lot of minor, in-universe Easter eggs that I think a lot of level designers like to include. Levitation only.
I don't know if this is Sorry, Newton.
No.
I don't know if this is a common practice amongst like the gaming industry or not, but I always thought it was really cute that our level design team calls it TARDISing, like Doctor Who, the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Yes.
They
I've
try
talked about
really
that
hard to
before.
make sure that interiors conform to exteriors. Like it's like a standard that they hold. It's really cute.
I
Balmora was a
assume that's
nightmare.
an industry term. I mean, I think I've made up my fair share of terms that definitely aren't industry standard. Like, I remember when I wanted to make a distinction between dungeons and cities, I just started saying passive and hostile interiors. And that's kind of been accepted, but I just made that up.
Ooh, someone's asking a final question. They're asking if we can see Tel Mora from Vos, or is it still too far away for us?
I think you could see it.
Can you?
I think you can see it
think
from
we
here.
can.
Oh, wait, there we go.
Yeah, but it is. I think our archipelago is actually a bit further, so there's actually like some sea between Tel Mora and Vos. Because in original game, well, they were just separated by a river or like a canal that was very small. We moved it a bit back, so it actually looks like it is a bit far. Although I remember that one of the shipmasters, either at Tel Mora or Tel Vos, tells you an old request. But yes, if you want to travel to them respectively.
Looking at faraway areas is something I've been enjoying, particularly Red Mountain looming over you the entire
Oh
time.
yeah. Yeah, that is the elevation I was talking about. It is gorgeous. Like there's so much more going on when it comes to like the shape of the terrain.
Now,
and you can see
Oh.
that this stuff also is between the hills.
Just because we get these comments every year, we didn't forget the fog. It just doesn't make for a
Yes.
fun presentation if everything's all foggy all the time.
Yeah,
we know Morrowind is foggy. It's not going anywhere. Don't worry about it if you
if
are.
my
Just wanted
memory
to
is
see the
correct
beautiful world.
about Morrowind's fog, I believe we're going to include fog. Argyle, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe we're going to include fog, but not to the same intensity as Morrowind. Mildly intense, but not as intense. Is that correct?
I mean, we're doing it for artistic reasons now, whereas Morrowind partially artistic, but also like
Limitations.
hardware requirement of just render distance being really taxing. I mean, it was one of those cool things of like limitation breeds innovation, but I mean, I think we do still plan on have it being really foggy for atmospheric purposes, but we do try to take advantage of level of detail or LOD on our 3D objects so that there is a bit more of a horizon. It's a balance, I think.
I will point out one thing that I believe you should be able to see from the distance, even with the fog, which is Red Mountain. More specifically, now unfortunately we can't show this off in this stream, but Red Mountain erupts sometimes with plumes of smoke.
Yes, that's such a scary effect when you're just going for some outskirt regions and you see that stack of smoke rising from above the mountain and the air slowly getting denser and like more dim.
I believe
it
that
is
is what
such
triggers
a
light
scary
storms.
effect.
Yeah, we want to
Yes,
do a lot
yes.
with that. And as someone who's looked over a lot of the voice acting scripts, I can tell you NPCs will react to that. When Red Mountain erupts in a plume of smoke, everyone's gonna go like, "Oh my god, are we all gonna die?" It's a myriad.
As someone
of
who has
different
recorded
lines.
voice acting, I have done those lines.
Yeah, I
hold on a
never
second,
erased
where are
them.
Where are we, guys?
We are in Dubdilla, which is a dungeon we will not be fully showing off because this place is gargantuan. However, given that it's on our route, I thought we'd stop in for a brief moment and have a look at how purple it is. Look at this place.
Who created this?
Love the
I need a quick reminder, Newton.
This was done by one of our great level designers, Oysteri, who may or may not be in the chat right now. If they are, hello. You did a good job.
Hi, Osteri, if you're here.
Okay.
We love you, Sarah. We love you.
Hello.
Yes, amazing, outstanding job as always.
Have you considered not
The
living
villa
in
is beautiful.
There he is. I see Oyster in the chat with a solid.
Oh,
move.
sick! What's up, Osteri?
You did a good job. It's very Orpal in here. Very cool.
Yeah.
Dude, there's no way you did Orpal, dude.
I did make the same joke that I also made when we were prepping. Yes.
We
I didn't
just
even know what that
to present you,
was.
Argyle.
I think
This-
I
this
think
is-
I sent you what it meant afterwards, didn't I?
You did. I never played any of those games, so I had no idea what that was.
Really,
This looks like where Grimace. This looks like where Grimace would live.
he lives inside of one of these rocks. You break him free as part of the quest. It's official.
I don't even know what the joke is referring to, but I'm just
You know
going
what?
with the
Don't even
flow.
worry about it. I'm just being dumb, honestly.
Oh, look at the
We all
European.
are.
Doesn't know about McDonald's cartoon characters.
Oh,
But speaking
that
of quests,
character.
there's a quest. There's a quest associated here too, right?
I believe so. That's why it's so big. If my memory serves me correctly, it is the vampirism quest, or one of the vampirism quests. It's part of the reason we don't want to show the whole thing off. No spoilers.
Yeah, but which one specifically though? Argyle, do you know that?
Like the curing vampirism quest. Right?
What, the quest?
Yeah, what's the quest here? I forget.
Oh, this is the Cure Vampirism quest. If you are sick of everyone actually hating you and killing you on sight. Oh, that was close, Newton.
No, I
that
think
was...
it was. No, I don't think it was close. I think it was.
Hey!
Wait.
No, don't do
We
it.
made it.
Don't.
Okay.
It's way too close.
We're very refined here at Skywind.
Yeah, maybe I might have spent 5 years of my life making this game, but I'm still not good at it. I have bad news.
We're good in we're good in spirit. We're good in spirit. No.
Okay.
Oh, did you really? Oh,
Well, this is why we have levitation. This is why
Yeah,
we
it's
accidentally
levitation.
unequipped levitation.
it just works.
I think I'm getting bit. My toes are getting bit by a slaughterfish. Okay. Yeah, so levitation is in the game. Now, the one we have on the player test character is the default levitation. That's why it's so slow. The higher the point value, the faster it'll be. However, it does work, which is great. It's amazing to see it actually working. It took a while to implement, if I remember correctly. There were a lot of coding quirks that made it hard to do. For some
Yeah,
reason.
there were like collision problems, but we had a coder join us who made it a little project of his, and he got it working really well.
I love stuff
Yeah,
like
it
this.
pretty
all
much
that
just
seed
works
for
the
very
same
much.
as it did in Morrowind.
It does
but
just
I remember
work,
that.
correct.
Look at all that. Look at all that Urple. All that.
There is a lot of it. All right, I'm gonna head out of here.
All
before I
right,
get
yeah,
too
we
long.
got to get you guys out of here before you start making more Urple jokes.
I gotta.
Yeah.
Oh god. Okay.
But I believe that for years, when it comes to levitation, we were just kind of faking it with putting like an invisible platform beneath the player or something like that. It was just it worked, but it was very janky, and now it
I
is
believe
like
we had a new coder come in and just fix it immediately, right? Was that Borg?
yeah.
Well, hey,
Yes,
you know,
well-
I wouldn't necessarily say it like fixed or like
That's
janky.
fair,
I
that's
mean,
fair.
it is really hard to get it
Maybe.
working, and I
I
mean,
guess finished would be a better word.
you know, a lot of people put a lot of hard work into that levitation, so I really respect getting levitation to work in any form, even if it was different than what we remembered.
That's
But
fair. I guess.
I am glad to have it
critical-
intuitive like this.
Yeah, a critical point that I want to acknowledge is that Morrowind had a lot of systems that have been difficult for us to implement, and we are trying our best to actually get them to in the game. Spellcrafting is one we mentioned.
Careful not to exit the door while you're levitating.
Yeah, wait for it.
Okay,
Wait.
levitation might not be entirely functional, but it's mostly functional.
Yes. It is almost
This
functional.
is a Bethesda game. What do you expect?
They just weren't
For
prepared
a
to
moment,
handle
I
the
thought that
collision
it just
things.
like threw you back. I thought that you like left the same door as you entered. I thought that it was like a door to the outside area.
No, we
Oh, God.
are heading back. Another use of jump spell, by the way.
Yeah, I love designing for caves. So just seeing all these cave stuff being shown off today has just been like superb for me.
That's really funny because I don't. You're definitely like alone
Yeah.
there. Caves are.
Yeah, you are in minority.
Yeah, caves.
We hate designing caves.
They look cool. If people are wondering why a lot of level designers don't like working on caves, a lot of tile sets. I know we were just talking earlier about how tile sets are very modular, but in a sense, when you're working with the tomb set, you stitch the wall piece to the corner piece to the corner piece to the corner piece, and you make a room.
No such luck with caves.
Yeah, like you kind of just put pieces together like a Lego set, and they snap together, and it looks great. Caves, we have a cave tile set in like the sort of Lego set way, but if you use it, it will look bad. You have to kind of break from the tile set in order to actually make it look good, and that just takes a lot of time. So
Yeah, generally like the tiles that we have is I think mostly from Skyrim, and what we are doing instead we are just like bashing the single rocks together
pretty
to
much.
create the caves.
Which means,
Yeah,
in
it's
some sense, it's
painful.
great. Our caves look way more dynamic. In another sense, a cave takes like 3 times as long as another dungeon of similar size. So
Ooh, can we get
Yes.
a look at that coast real
I-
quick?
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
really curious about
Oh,
that
yeah,
coastline.
this is something Overseer
There's
mentioned
one more
earlier
thing
about
I want-
increasing the length of the water.
Overseer, yeah, you've
Yeah.
been going hard on this on the coastline, haven't you?
I really love it. Like I think that it is one of the strengths of Grazelands that it has like a very defined coastline, and when you go to the coastline, it actually looks like it is distinct. Like you can see that there are different trees there. I think there are marshmallows, although I think there should be there. I don't remember.
Hey, buddy.
But yeah, oh,
A friend.
don't
I did this during our
No,
practice.
no,
do
don't
it to a scream.
I'm not gonna do
Don't do it,
Remember
Newton.
last-
Don't do it.
He's just
Last
patting
time
the
you tried to
ground.
do
He's
it.
a little guy.
Yes.
Does
good.
anyone else think that those trees look like bugles, like the chip?
A little bit. I
Yeah,
kind of expect
bugle.
them to start singing.
Oh,
I don't
It's
know.
like-
No, the chips, yeah.
Oh, and you can see that there are like, different mushrooms growing there, like the spheres, and that there are
Oh,
mean guys
is
here.
that the mud crab merchant?
It
that
is
the
not,
mud crab
unfortunately.
merchant?
It is a normal mud crab. Mud crab merchant is like there-ish. Where's the mud crab merchant?
No,
Dagon
that
Fell?
is not
It is in the
there.
south,
Is it Dagon
deep
Fell?
south.
It's deep
No,
south.
it's not Dagon Fell.
It is south of
It's in the
Molag Mar.
Ascadian Isles.
Isn't, I don't know anything about Morrowind, clearly.
Oh, you're right. It is south of Molag Mar. You're right.
I don't remember.
Molag Mar. Oh, and Molag Mar, like I mean, the same thing, pretty
There's
much.
so many Easter
Yeah,
eggs in
I know.
Morrowind. I have despite my many hours in it, I have trouble keeping track of them all.
And you can see that
Oh, man.
this is a small detail of the region, but those washed out seaweeds on the shores and branches, it is so cool, okay? I just really love working on such small details. And here's a small farm that some of you might recognize because something very similar was included in Aube, another great Morrowind mod. I think we once shouted out Tamriel Rebuild for some of their cluttering work, and this is another thing of Ash and the Blight. Highly recommend. That's a great mod if you are interested in Telvanni and the Gracelands area. I would wholeheartedly recommend.
We're about to show off something that I am certain is going to get questions. Traveling and fast traveling and how that will work. Argyle, do you want to go into detail about that?
Pay for it.
Fair enough.
I can give a better answer than that. Morrowind is notorious or famous, depending on your opinion, for being like the only Elder Scrolls game where you can't natively travel from just the map. You actually have to pay for services and go along established routes or through magical services, which we have maintained. And will be a toggle for accessibility reasons and just because the coding's already there that you can enable fast travel from the map. I personally don't recommend it. I think Morrowind is better if you have to plan your route and then make use of the established trade routes, but it was just one of those things of like, it's already there. It's basically already put into Skyrim, so we kept it for people who really want the option. But otherwise, fast travel, quest markers are all off by default for Skywind.
Yeah, quest markers is the other big one, which, once again, also would highly recommend playing without, but we do understand that audiences have shifted a bit, and while most of us don't want quest markers in the game, there are people who do want them. And making the game more accessible for people who want to play it differently is an important part of game design.
I'm sorry, chat. I'm one of those people. The brain rot is strong with me.
Oh no. The Skyrim has overtaken you.
How
also,
could you?
I believe
Could-
when earlier we were talking about showing off Sadrith Mora at night.
Oh,
Wait,
yeah.
Mushroom
Sadrith
people,
Mora.
mushroom
Let's go.
Sadrith Mora is such a unique location, and at the same time, I think the last time we showed it was in the battle at Enchurdam's game.
So, a while
video.
ago.
Yeah, like
Also not
4 or
live.
5, 4 years. Yeah, yeah. So like world premiere.
This is
Yeah,
I wanna mention this tiny area, even though it's small and there's really not that much going on here. A common issue with Skyrim and Elder Scrolls games in general is their cities feeling like no one's really living in them. And we've really put a lot of effort into our city exteriors of just making them feel more lived in, putting more things in there for people to interact with, and just generally making them look prettier, adding more stuff. It's a lot of
Legendary
fun.
Sadrith Mora.
City looks great, honestly.
Also do
Well,
have
I believe-
the... Oh, sorry, Marco. Go for it.
I believe we're also planning to go somewhere else that we previously mentioned in this stream, aren't we, Newton?
I believe so. We're heading. Well, first we're heading to another city, and then we're going to. I think Molag Mar is next on our list, which is one of the cantons. No, not a Vivek canton.
It is the only canton that is not in Vivek City. Easy to remember.
Let me close the door on my way out to be polite. What is this? Door?
Wait, did they say Molag Mar or Molag Mar?
totally the same thing. Definitely not.
Molag
Yeah,
Mar is the
yeah.
building. Molag
Molag
Mar is the region.
But Molag Mar is in Molag Mar, so.
That's correct.
Yeah, that is that is. I mean,
I
Vos, Tel
say
Vos,
as I
like every
braid
state
my
he goes.
gray lore beard.
You are our lore master.
Oh man, that's a title I cannot believe I somehow stumbled into. I do not feel like a lore master at all.
I know a
Was it
little
a
bit.
was it a stump? Was it a stumble or a faceplant? That's the real question.
You know, you just wind up where you wind up sometimes, and that's okay.
true.
Go with the flow.
Now that we've got a little bit of a moment, do we have any more time for another question from chat?
Oh,
What's up,
We
chat?
have plenty of questions. We
Hit
have
us
plenty of
with some.
questions.
Well, let's take advantage
a-
of being live. What's up with chat? Let's answer some of their questions.
Yeah. Let me. I have found some good ones that I really wanted to get, show off. One from Hoppity Hop. Sorry. What location has been the most challenging to create so far? I think we can all say this one, but someone chime in. What do you think?
It really, I would obviously varies level designer to level designer what they've worked on, and we kind of talked about caves being difficult to work on. Although one interesting thing that kind of stands out to me, less is challenging and more work intensive. This is a location that is not yet done. However, around a few months ago, we had I think it was a 6-person meeting where we talked about Dagother, not the person, but the location. And I'm obviously not going to give any details because that's main quest finale. It's the final dungeon. But that was a whole meeting of like 6 people all going over, oh, maybe you should put this here. Maybe, no, let's do this. What about this? What about this? And there was this constant back and forth. And I mean, that difficult isn't the right word, but it was definitely one of the most engaging and experiences I've had as a level designer. Is just bouncing off everybody else.
Designing for egg mines has been interesting for me.
Oh my god.
It's a lot of having to
yeah.
blend not so much the cave issue, but blending in like the nature of it and like the ooey gooiness of Quamas has been fun to think about. But
Ooey gooey.
I've taken a little break. From it.
Yeah, so if caves are hard to make because they can't align to tile sets, Quama is even worse in my opinion. Like, it looks great, it looks amazing, our level designers are doing a great job. I have trouble with it. There's a reason I
We
never
love you,
done it.
Marco.
You know, for me, there's like a developing love-hate relationship with Telvanni interiors because on one hand, they are beautiful, they are so organic, they're flowing, they're just gorgeous. However, on the other hand, putting any sort of clutter there is a nightmare because the floor is uneven and you either have to like very slightly adjust everything or you have to like compromise and put some like floor planes over it. And it is just like I tried to fit a single rug into Master Arion's chambers for about 5 minutes, and I barely managed.
I'm tempted to steal this fishing pole right in front of this guard. The urges are.
I'm really
I
excited.
don't.
Me.
I'm really excited to see Molag Mar.
Oh yeah, well that is the next on our list. I will point out. Somebody asked in chat. I have it pulled up in another tab. How will leveling up work? So this is something that's interesting. Now, very work in progress menu I'm about to show. It's very subject to change. This is more just a placeholder for us to look at how the system will work. I would say our leveling up system is most similar to Oblivion's in a sense, but it's kind of a mix of all 3 games. Essentially, we have the kind of special stat system that Morrowind had. We also have all the skills that Morrowind had. But as you level them up, once you hit certain milestones, you'll unlock perks. And those perks are kind of like the things you get in Oblivion, although they'll be obviously varied, and we're making our own system. Once again, heavy work in progress, but we wanted to make the level up system feel a little bit more dynamic than it was in Morrowind. Well, not just doing Skyrim, because we wanted to make it feel like Morrowind.
Yeah, I think the base idea is to like take the best aspects of all Elder Scrolls games and merge them together into what would work best.
Absolutely.
Perk system from Skyrim was interesting, but it was kind of underdeveloped. But it is still a good addition overall to Morrowind system.
I would say in general, one of the ways that I like to describe Skywind is it's almost less of just a straight remake and more of how a lot of us think the game would have been made if it was made today by without time restrictions, basically. I really feel like a core part of our experience is trying to hit the same artistic intent that the original developers had, while also kind of expanding on their original ideas in ways that don't seem too out there with what they originally did.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I'd
I
say
also
that this is
oh
like a vision statement.
Yeah.
We are coming up towards the end of our time segment. We will be here a little bit to answer questions and chill out for it. But we do have one more thing to show you all, guys. That we're
I
very
will
excited to show
point
you.
out, while our time segment on this YouTube stream is coming to a close, we are the last slot for ModCon. So if you hop over to the Twitch, we're just going to stay live, at least for a little bit.
Yes,
So
we're just gonna be goofy and
once we've wrapped up here, feel free to
doing our
join us.
stuff.
After that, we're out of scripted locations to go to, so we're just going to be walking around for a little bit until we get tired of it.
Yeah, answering questions and, last minute second opportunity. Please consider donating to Doctors Without Borders.
Absolutely.
Helps out innocent people in need, and it goes to a very good cause. Thanks, Scans.
Real
Yes,
quick,
Yeah.
I said it.
just in the distance, Argyle, what is that? There's a thing in the sky.
Is that a rock?
It is a
the
rock.
potato.
There is a potato in the sky, yeah.
Egg.
Sheagora threw a
Egg.
potato at Phoenix City. The Ministry of Truth, very on the nose, Michael, is fully modeled, and while we won't be going over there, it is in the game. I believe we've shown it off in some of our Phoenix City showcases, if you're interested to
Yes,
see
and
it.
I think that UCM is actively working on the interior right now.
Oh, really? Well,
That's
then there we
one
go.
of his active claims. Yes.
I
Yeah.
given him some input
Yeah,
on
it's-
that. Yeah, he's working on it.
That's awesome.
It's a very beautiful soliloquy. I like to call it UCM and the fight against the floating rock, or the
UCM and
danger
the fight
potato.
against
That's how-
TARDISing. The original Ministry of Truth was way larger on the inside than the outside. I think it's like 10 times bigger. I have no idea what
Bigger
he's
than
doing,
imagination.
but
16 times the detail.
16 times the interior.
16 times the size.
Honestly, I probably don't want to look at that just so I can be surprised when I play Skywind. This is one of the woes of working as a level designer. I love working on this game. I'm so passionate about Skywind. But, oh man, when I play Skywind, now I'm going to know where everything is.
Yeah, it's like you design it all. You're just like, oh, where's the fun of exploration?
Yeah, I know.
already how to
I
get
almost
some
wish
of
I
the
could
best
wipe my
stuff.
memory before I played it.
I think that we all kind of approached this project, began working on it with the idea that we are creating it so we can one day play it. But as we create more and more locations, that idea grows more remote.
As I started doing reviews recently for existing locations, and have now seen 50 locations that I didn't make, it's like, oh, well, okay. But thankfully, that's what all of you are here for. You can play the game and hopefully enjoy it. Alright, let me go with the
Yeah.
Molag Mar.
Coming
I
on
think
to the
that's-
last 30 seconds for ModCon.
Oh
I
boy,
just want to
our
say
time slot's
thank you.
running out.
Yep, our time slot's running
Wow.
out, but I just want to say thank you to all the people at ModCon. We really appreciate the opportunity for getting to show off the progress in our work, and we hope we helped raise money for a good cause. And as a new person, I'm very happy to see that you guys are still keeping up the good fight for individual projects and creators, so thank you.
Speaking of new people
Yeah.
on dev teams, if you're interested, volunteer, not just for our project, but for all of these projects. We
Absolutely.
all need new talent, and if you're passionate about something, just do it. We have a lot of specific branches, like file cutting, that are relatively easy to learn how to do and get into, and if you want to help, we absolutely would appreciate your help. I'm speaking on behalf of every project here. I'm almost certain they'd concur.
Anyways, that's it for us. Please come to our Twitch if you want to keep watching us do stuff. But until then, thank you very much. Have a good day, and
Have a good day, everyone.
thanks for the great ModCon.
It's been a great, yeah. It's
Thank
been
you,
a great
Hey,
ModCon.
everybody, and it was great.
It's wonderful.
Alright, well,
All right,
Yeah, I think it was a
now
great stream.
The after party.
now I assume
for
I
fun.
assume the ModCon runners are going to be swapping us out and moving to Twitch.
Now the show must go on.
But we're still here. Hopefully they cut our mics over on their YouTube stream so we're not interfering with them. Give me one moment to set something up for Twitch, and then we will continue exploring. Let me take a
So
step
yes.
forward and
Now-
look at this room.
Yes, the
Virtual.
scripted
We wanna
section.
Welcome you to a
The scripted section is now
Special-
over. We have not planned any of this now. We're just kind of walking.
Yeah, great. Now we can brutally maul ordinators.
Yes.
chat. You're getting a special one-on-one with us now. It's as parasocial as it get,
Oh,
and
boy.
it's as much as we're willing to give. and it's
Argyle,
not a lot.
what is
telling you that
Molag
now.
Mar? Refresh our memory.
I'm sorry. I'm like bouncing around on Discord trying to figure out if we're clear.
I think we're clear.
I think we're clear.
Yes, we have a lot of people are pointing out in the Twitch chat the Almalexia painting. We have a lot of these paintings. Kind of like the paint. So for Imperial locations, we have those posters that we were showing off.
Paintings.
Yeah, in the paintings. Then for Dunmer locations, we have these more Dunmary style
Murals.
murals. I'm trying to think of what a good location to show it off would be. I can't teleport to
I
Dal's
believe
library, to our test library. I want to show off our books.
You could go over to Nisi's temple because there's one dedicated to the Ash Mask of Vivek that I requested Fury to make.
Am I about to
Also,
am I clear to COC on stream to the Nisa's temple?
Wait, hold on, just 1 second. Now that I'm done like Discord ratting, I just wanted to clarify for all the people that Molag Mar and the Molag Mar region is the birthplace of Almalexia, one of the 3 gods of the tribunal. So that's one of the cool opportunities that we have to actually look at the lore retroactively and figure out where, things should probably be now that we have the time and opportunity to develop it. So now you kind of get more hints of the tribunal as a religion, as opposed to just, it's a little Vivek centralized in the base game, but now, there's kind of more of a broader, overarching world religion that we get to point to in the game. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to grab that in there.
As a note about Almalexia's birthplace, some of you may remember that you do go there as part of the, I believe it's the Temple Quest line. While that area is, 1, heavily work in progress, and 2, not being shown off right now, I'm just going to give a bit of a teaser and say we have something very neat planned for it. So be excited to check out Mount Khan when we finally do end up releasing.
And I will say, it says a lot. It says a lot about Molag Mar that Almalexia is their greatest achievement, as we all know. In hindsight.
yeah. She kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Hey.
What can you
I'm gonna get
arrested
arrested for blasphemy.
Wasteland.
Quick roast. Little quick roast.
I know.
She's like unironically my favorite part of the tribunal. I love that she is the
That says a lot
warrior
about you.
mother healer.
I really
That says a lot about you.
I like Vivek just because obviously he's the most explored, so he's the most to fall in love with. I guess that's the basic pick. Although, if the Clockwork City in the original Morrowind was bigger, I might have picked Sokasil.
I would say.
I mean, people get really interested in
Interesting.
Sothasil for the magic, the wizardry, the mystery, and then I think people also are a big fan of his characterization in ESO. But I love that Almalexia is like nuts. I love that she's
crazy.
like the warrior of the 3.
Guard.
I don't know. I think she's really underrated as a god.
But
Guards, there's more of them.
it is very cool to see, throughout the quest line, her character slowly descending into insanity because she escalates, and that is a very
It's
cool
very
thing
fun.
to
There's
see.
a Guard. He's spitting. Look at this guy. I'm very
Okay,
excited about
I
Guard.
can
God.
agree with you. I can agree with you guys that the other 2 are cool, but here's my counterpoint to Sohasil. The gears.
Yeah. Sokasil.
Like
okay.
it's not an Elder Scrolls game without some weird mechanical
Sokasil is very yeah. What's the most recent Metal Gear game? Sokasil's gonna pull out nano machines in the next Elder Scrolls game.
Oh, that's not the most recent game. You're
I don't-
talking about the
it's-
sword game.
I am. I've never played any Metal Gear game. I just know of them.
Rising?
Rising? I don't know. I do Skywind.
I thought it was Phantom Pain, honestly.
No, that you're right. That's the most recent game. He's not talking about that one though. He's talking about the one with like the ninja cutting game where there's like Senator Armstrong.
I'm not.
It was a spin-off game.
It was? Yeah, see, I've never played any of these,
Oh wait, it's that memes game?
Yes.
With Senator Armstrong?
Yeah.
Someone's asking if the jump spell is useful for like moving around in
So,
Morrowind.
as we showed it off earlier in terms of dungeon exploration, it definitely is useful for getting around. Although I don't believe this one on the character is as useful. Primarily because it's a low-level one. But just like in Morrowind, we're going to have spellcrafting, and yes, this is a jump 50% higher spell. Just add a few extra zeros, Leap across the map.
Also, the fog looks so good. I know that we don't always use it for presentations, but like that looks so
it's
cool.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
That's intimidating as hell.
I'm curious what our final fog is going to look like, because it's, once again, heavy work in progress. And just, this is something we're kind of planning rather than having gotten already around to. But,
Yeah, the
So,
weathers kind of need more polishing all across the board, especially so when it comes to like the frequency of fogs.
so I feel like we have a bit of time here since we're gonna be walking. How
More
do we feel about
questions?
some rapid answer
Absolutely.
questions? Yeah, exactly.
I'm
My
gonna be
thoughts.
slowful.
All right, first one I saw is I have to claw through a bit of them, but I'll get you some good ones. First thing off the bat, are we doing Blood Moon and Tribunal?
So, so DLC. Let's get this out in the open because it's important. People should know. It's a commonly asked question. That would be cool. However, currently our focus is on getting the game released.
The base game.
Yes, the base game released. Would it be cool to get Tribunal done? Absolutely. Can we assure that it will happen? Not really right now. It's not a focus of the team. We're not currently designing Tribunal or Blood Moon assets, and we're not working on those areas. Will it happen potentially? Maybe, but it's not,
yeah.
Yeah, it would be cool. We would really like to, but it's not something we're essentially promising right now because it's not currently being worked on and will not be until the base game is not only done but released.
Yeah, like
When
the
is
main problem
Skywind
with-
coming out?
Yesterday.
Oh, God.
When you volunteer to finish it, join the
Like
team.
the main problem with
Help
working
us,
on both of those
please.
DLCs is that it will detract development from the main product, so it will never come out. Like
Yeah.
it is important to focus on what is coming out
But
in the
essentially,
nearest.
official stance is that would be cool after the game is done.
Yes, exactly.
What did we do with Zix and Dal? Did we
Yeah.
kill them? Are they gone? What happened
Were
to
they
them?
were they in chat?
They're in
Or-
my heart.
What
Yes,
did
on the
they-
Argyle remains, we have replaced them. You know, it is that idea of
The next
mantling
generation.
from
That's
Yeah,
Elder
mantling.
Scrolls. We have mantled them. I know that I'm not nearly as funny as Dal, but I'm trying my best.
Oh.
Yes, I'm trying to be funny so hard right now, guys. I'm sorry if I'm failing.
Yeah.
Well, you know what they say about
Okay, a
trying.
question.
Always makes it better.
Another question
Yep,
for now.
exactly. Especially overtrying. Mora
That's
has
right.
many
We
cut
are-
features,
look.
such as the expanded campfire quest line or alternative main quest path. Are you guys concerned in bringing any of them back?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
He's asking about cut content. Are we adding more when cut content?
Oh,
yeah, kind of like
okay.
alternate main quest paths, different types of branching quest paths. How's that looking?
So we don't get too much into like the main quest line. Like we just try to keep that under wraps just for,
Obvious reasons.
yeah, just
Yes,
so
also-
people can enjoy the changes that may or may not be made. We generally see ourselves as being really faithful to Morrowind, like in every department. So I wouldn't like expect like a whole like other game that you've never envisioned before, or like a totally crazy quest line that like is just like, what is this doing here? But generally, we see our approach as additive. So we try to, at a baseline, keep everything that you would expect to be there in the game, and then as we reimagine it and try to fulfill that artistic vision, we do add a few extra content there to address like little holes we see or things that we think could be better. So as to getting to your question, I mean, we're definitely still maintaining the back path for the main quest. So like, don't worry, that's important. We know about it, of course, and we're going to keep that there. And a lot of our dungeons are also being expanded to add storytelling without necessarily changing the narrative in places. But most of the stuff is staying like how you expect it. There are a few additional original pieces of content meant to be supplemental and kind of better achieve the final vision, but overall, like, I wouldn't expect like a whole new, like, the Fighters Guild has completely changed, if that makes sense. I hope that answers the question. I know it's a lot of words.
Yeah,
But yes, most of it will be there.
I think an important thing to add on is that level design is probably the most obvious area where things have been changed and enhanced. Because as someone who's played a lot of Morrowind, I love Morrowind. It's my favorite game ever. Thousands of hours in it. I'm obsessed with the game. But its interior dungeon level design is a bit subpar. They're fun to play through, sure. But overall, it's definitely the area of the game that could use the most touching up. And that's why I think in Skywind, it's the area that's received the most touching up from our team. if you ask any of our level design leads what's the experience the most changes, they're probably going to say the tomb tile set and how the tombs look. Our team kind of went crazy with some of the tombs. They're very big now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
to
we're
add on to
bringing
that,
it up every single year. This point about
Yeah,
tombs being absolutely massive.
to add on to that, it's like we're trying to remaster, I guess, like recreate a game that's 20 years old. Like so many different like design principles, theories, just technology has changed that like a complete one-to-one, there'd be so much missing that modern games have, which although modern gaming does have its faults, there has been many good changes, and it's sort of about a balance and marrying of the two sort of eras.
I really agree. There's a lot. As much as I love Morrowind, I also love its flaws. And you kind of have to. One of the things about being on a team like this is you kind of have to understand, like, okay, I might like this thing, but I'm not making a game for me. We're making a game for a lot of people. That's something that is something that's kind of talked a lot about in behind the scenes stuff with level design. One thing that we try to do is make sure that there is both a healthy amount of consistency behind our level design, and also a healthy amount of things that aren't consistent. A good example of this is I remember we essentially put a limit on how many tombs could contain a specific thing. It was cave sections, because you want dungeons to have super unique areas that are very different and make each dungeon special, but you also don't want to redo those ideas, because if you do them too many times, they stop feeling special.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
a balance you have to hit.
I think we also had a similar, at least I with Nick had a discussion about what should be done with Daedric ruins that are dedicated to Sheogorath. Because my idea for one of the ruins that I made was that, well, it could have like the split into the mania and dementia sections, but it was done already somewhere else. Like we shouldn't really repeat things that are already present in the project,
Yeah.
but build something new, and like that strive to make every single location have something unique and rewarding exploration. It is such a crucial design principle for Skywind.
It's funny that you bring up the mania dementia thing for Sheogorath, because you're not alone in that. I think literally every single level designer who has the Sheogorath dungeon, including myself, has said, "Ooh,
Yes.
what if I did this?" And then and then we all talked to UCM, and it was like, yeah, everyone else has already done that.
Yes, exactly. it just happens over and over. So I like decided to focus on like a different aspect of insanity, or maybe not really insanity, but being not in the right state of mind. And I think that works really well, because you try to design puzzles. Like Shiogora has such a wide sphere. There's so many things that can be done with it. And so like
War.
again,
He's spinning.
war.
Yeah, no, you're
No.
absolutely right.
That's like
Level
one of
design is
the
a vicious. Level design is a vicious cycle where you think you have a really cool idea,
And then everyone else has already done it
before you.
I wanna quickly point out the person in chat who has now twice asked about Anasi and that side quest. Do not fear, they are in the game. We also love Anasi. I'm pretty sure we've removed the character gender restriction from that quest as well, if my memory serves me correctly. But I'm not.
I can talk about that. I oversaw.
Okay.
I didn't oversee it, but I reviewed it.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, we
oversee
just
it.
generally added like a few extra like it's like one of those things where we just kind of supplemented it with extra like little bits of lines just to make it feel more complete. Because I mean, it really is basically the only romance option in
It's just
Morrowind, and it's still like
God.
not even like it's romantic, but it's like barely subtextual.
She just
you
shows
know,
up
like
and is like, "Hey, do you want to? You're my partner now," and you're like, "Okay."
I hesitate to even call it subtext because it's really not subtle, but
just-
also like she never is direct about it. So we kind of just tried to lean into the vibe of that and just make it feel a little bit more like comfortable, and like you kind of just fill out some of the blank space without getting like too over engrossed and out of scope with it. But
Filling
yeah,
out blank space is
Anasi's gotten some special attention from writing.
Yeah.
Speaking of like partners or like companions, what's that looking like? I feel like that's a good question to ask.
Last time I tried to answer this, I got the answer wrong. Argyle?
Okay, yeah. Basically, we aren't adding any companions. We think it's kind of an essential part of Morrowind's atmosphere that you are alone. It's a very harsh place. You know, you're never really fully accepted. Even when you like save the world, everyone still kind of thinks of you as an outlander. So you'll never like be one of the people. So trying to have the form reflect the content on that and not add any sort of additional companions, because I mean they are a big like writing investment and implementation stuff. Some of our voice actors actually do have the option of recording follower lines for mod purposes that won't be accessible through gameplay, but will be through the creation kit. So people will have the option to mod that, but ultimately, we as a writing team decided it was out of scope and out of Morrowind's artistic vision to include like Fallout-style companions with like high depth and responsiveness to the world. Even though that stuff is awesome, and I'm really glad Bethesda does it now, it just wasn't very good for Morrowind, in our opinion.
To the person in chat who just asked about, I just want to quickly acknowledge the person in chat who just asked about armor slots. Yes, we do have enhanced armor slots. If my memory is correct, Skyrim had a few left over for modders. We have filled most of those.
Where would you like to go?
But there are a few we've left open for people to mod Skywind. And if I go into third person briefly, you can see a couple of notes. First of all, I'm wearing a pauldron on my right shoulder, but not my left. Also, helmet from a different set. Greaves and cuirass are now separated. And if I go into my set here,
Quite a lot of armor.
I can also have a different left and right one. So
Yeah, hold on.
yes.
I just want to point out, you look like a Terminator, and that is awesome.
Yeah, this is the Molag Mar helmet.
And that's just a little bit of the customizability you can do with your characters, guys.
Now, yeah, this might not. I'm gonna be honest. I did just kind of grab these things from our armor testing hall before this, like 5 seconds before the stream started. But I'm very excited to see what you guys do with. Wait, we have Fashion Souls. Is this Fashion?
Yes,
Wind?
Skywind.
Fashion Wind.
Show.
Fashion Wind. Okay, fantastic.
Fashion Wind. That's
Fashion
the
Wind.
perfect one.
Somebody mentioned.
Strut your...
Yeah, somebody mentioned what the highest asset count we've have. There's one dungeon I remember making that has 3,000 of the same asset placed in it. It's like a plant.
Oh god.
Oh,
Wait,
wow.
isn't that the one you made?
Yes, I'm not. Yeah.
Like Abernanit, I think.
We're
Abernanit.
not gonna start me rambling about the typo in the original game. But the
Yes,
point is,
yes, I kind of tried to lean into that because I remember you going like really
I
crazy
did,
on
yeah.
the
Can you wear,
tangent.
someone asked if they could wear robes over armor. Argyle, can you do that? I don't think we managed to make that work.
We
So
can.
that's definitely
We
not
actually
my
can.
department. I think you
can.
can wear robes, but you can't wear clothes.
Yeah, that's the thing.
maybe
You-
it's. I wanna make it very clear. We would want to make it work 1-to-1 exactly as it works in Morrowind. However, it's hard. Skyrim, everything is hard-coded in Skyrim. I was working on a skybox once, and I got an image, and I wanted to import it into the sky. And I was like, okay, take the skybox. Where's the button to import? Oh, I can't find it. After a 6-hour investigation of reading through guides, I found out that everything in the skybox is hard-coded. You just, like, there's
Oh my
12
God.
clouds that you set hard-coded XYZ locations, and then JPEGs for the clouds. You set, like, the RGB value for the sun, the glow around the sun, the glow behind it. You can't just import something. So, like, that's a random example, but I think that gets across the idea that so many things in Skyrim are hard-coded in ways that make it very hard to modify things. We really want to, and I think we've done a lot, but there are a few things here and there that are pretty much impossible to replicate.
Someone asked a
look,
fun
you can see
question.
Palace of the Bag.
Oh, Marco?
Someone asked where if you can find missing Daedric armor pieces that were unobtainable in base game without killing a quest-sensitive NPC, which I think we all know who that is, but who wants
Yes.
to take that
Oh, yeah.
question?
So Daedric armor is still extremely limited in Skywind. We definitely see that as an extremely intentional decision from the original developers. So for the most part, you do have to kill a sensitive person. However, there is one alternative, which is quite an investment to be able to get Daedric armor without actual foul murder. So it's possible, and it's basically the only other alternative. But I think you need to get like maximum smithing skill, and then there's a quest now without getting too deep into it. but it's
Yeah,
work, as it should be.
Yeah, compared to like original Skyrim, like we wanted to keep that sense of rarity and wonder to like powerful artifacts and weapons. It's like you don't just want to. You could stumble on a like rare weapon and stuff, but it's like about the adventure, finding
Same
it,
thing
putting
about
in the
glass
effort to
as
get
well.
it, and then, yeah, having that sort of feeling attached to like the journey of getting there. That's a big essence of original Mormon we want to keep, especially with our equipment.
Another better
Yeah,
view of the Ministry of Truth,
like
for
Daedric
instance.
armor was pretty much the ultimate reward for exploration, if you think about it, because it was tucked away in like the most random of places most of the time. Like if you were just following the quest, like the main quest line, you would end up with maybe two, maybe three pieces total.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also love Morrowind in that like you can like walk into this one cave and there's like a Daedric spear that's always there, and like you either metagame it or you just like are the luckiest new player in the world, and like the game just lets you do it. We just love the like the pure sandbox of Morrowind
Yeah,
of
like the set loot is such an amazing feature. Like that you don't have like generated weapons according to the level of your character, but you have things that are actually there with intentionally. And I think even like I might be misremembering, but I think there's like a Daedric weapon somewhere in Balmora in
Uh,
original game.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yes, there is.
There's also a really good
I think
axe
it's
in a tree
Katana.
stump by Seyda Neen, I think. So I believe that's also still there.
Foreshadowing. Do you want to steal it from Fargoth?
I would never harm this Bosmer. Look at him!
Fargoth cult.
Because
Fargoth cult.
did
Spam in
you
the chat.
did you
Spam in the
voice
chat.
him? Did you voice him?
I did not voice Fargoth. Fargoth was voiced far before I got here.
I could swear that you voiced
I
Fargoth.
voiced 7 Bosmer, but none of them are him. I wish I
Wait,
voiced
wait, wait.
Fargoth.
Didn't you voice one in Pelagia?
I
No,
think
not
so.
Pelagia, but Caldera.
Oh yeah, Caldera. Yeah, no, I think I do. I don't.
I remember that goofball. I remember that guy.
Oh,
Always got brutally mauled by adults.
Someone else asked a really good question. Since expansions are probably going to be post-release, will those small plugins Bethesda made, like the adamantium armor, also be post-release?
I want to answer that kinda because one of the locations from a plugin, Onisiralis, is something that I'm working on right now. So I think that it is very situational because some of the plugins that were created by Bethesda originally do not apply to Skywind because, well, they are kind of a part of base game, right? Like I think it was Fireflies or Sounds in Bitter Coast, something like that. Uh, but I think we are at least including the Helm of Tohan plugin. I don't know what's the case with Firemoth. I think it's not gonna be at least on release, or maybe it will be
I
like
think
a very
that's
low.
right.
Yeah, but we are including at least Helm of Tohan, and I don't think we are including the jobs. I think it was or entertainers. I think it was called.
Yeah,
Who would win?
it's all conditional basis. Firemoth has actually come up a couple of times on the team.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't
for
sure.
different purposes. I was campaigning at one point to use Firemoth in cooperation with an original Skywind like quest basically, but it ultimately just came down to like at that point the idea was so different from what Firemoth was that it was kind of like we may as well just like do
Use
something
another
original
location.
all the way, because I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't really cry if Firemoth was changed in substance.
Yeah, Firemoth was just like a skeleton spam, I believe, in the original game. There was nothing interesting other than fighting literal army of skeletons.
I want to
Right.
briefly point out while we're in combat, I want to show off a specific spell, which is this one I got in my left hand, which if you cast with your left hand and hold, and then cast with your right hand, it buffs the power of your fire spells.
That's cool, actually. I didn't know
We
that.
have one for the 3 elements: shock, frost, and fire, and it makes them significantly more powerful. Essentially, we really want to include stuff that makes magic feel tactical, because that's kind of what spellcrafting did, right? Magic is meant to be it's based on your character's intelligence. You're meant to be thinking a lot when you're using it. And adding a lot of a wide variety of spells that allow clever problem solving is really fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
huge
okay.
shout out for our
Problem
spell
of-
mechanics to Thermocrius on YouTube. I mean, he's done so many great mechanics for this game. He's done a lot of the
also spell
VFX. He's
Yeah.
made the visual design, which y'all might not know, very hard to make. It necessarily
Yeah, we
shouldn't
have
be,
touched up on that earlier.
but the only way to do that stuff is with NIF scope, which is just like
Oh yeah.
a
Ancient,
very
it's
difficult piece
Yeah,
of
you just become
software.
Wizard.
People are asking about difficulty. So difficulty, it's gonna be similar to Skyrim with a general difficulty setting, and balancing as a whole, whether that be difficulty and player strength, is going to be something we're going to discuss as a whole team. Essentially, after everything is done, we have the QA pass for dungeons. Like, we will go through a dungeon and say, okay, there's no holes, this is good to go, finalized. But after everything's done, we're going to have a second balancing pass where we go through everything and say, hey, this level designer put a Daedric helmet in this dungeon just kind of offhandedly. Let's remove that and put it somewhere where it's a little bit more fitting. And that's going to be a whole team discussion. What you're seeing right now is a very high-level test character that we use. And also, none of the numbers have been set up yet. So what you're seeing right now should not be a good reference for how powerful... Yeah, their intelligence is 200, which is impossible to get without potions. So this should not be a good reference for how difficult the game will be, as balancing is something that is definitely a essentially post-game idea. It's like we have to finish the whole game first before we can do it.
All right, here's a fun question: Who would win in a fight to the death?
Oh boy.
Our team or the Beyond Skyrim Morrowind team?
We'd end up coming to a peaceful
I just
agreement.
wanna like have kumbaya.
Yeah.
They do great
we're gonna hug
stuff.
them. We're gonna share
Yeah, we
assets.
I'm sorry.
have just trading assets and being nice to each other
Isn't our
as
team
we
set?
are.
Isn't our tomb set from Beyond Skyrim?
Sorry, guys. I have to be the gremlin in this situation. I'm going in for blood. I
Oh,
crave
no.
power.
Well, be sure to use
No,
the
no,
Force
they're
yourself.
such a great team. Don't kill any
You
of
know,
them.
Marco, you
Oh,
really
I'm sure
shouldn't Marco, you really shouldn't feed into the belief some people have that like our teams are at war for some reason. And
Of
don't
course we're not.
propagate that idea.
No, we hate Sky Oblivion. I'm kidding.
No,
Sky
don't
Oblivion's
even say
great.
it.
I hate
Sky Oblivion's
every-
amazing. All of these mod projects are amazing. There's a
No.
big sense
I'm just
of
happy
community.
to help with anything.
Yeah, there's a big sense of
Listen,
community that
our-
comes with being on your team, but also just seeing all of these other projects and all this cool stuff everyone's doing. It's great. Everyone else
You know,
is great.
we
This looks
all
like Breath of the
know
Wild.
that
This looks like Breath of the Wild.
like in truth, we just react to Skyblivion the same way people in Morrowind react to vampires. It's like, I curse you, Skyblivion, away.
Somebody's asking if you can do the exploit where you give yourself a fortify intelligence potion to do alchemy to get yourself insane potions. I'm pretty sure you can do that. Well, not yet, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna be allowing that. Argyle, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we want to make alchemy
Again, not my
Response
department.
to-
I think there's some sort of limit on exploits, but I am just a writing lead. I don't know about game balance.
Ooh,
You're
someone asked a
trying
really
to
good
like
question.
shift the blame on Argyle all the time.
Someone asked a really good question actually. Will there be sexually dimorphic stat differences between genders?
Definitely
races
not.
and their genders?
Well, hold on about
No?
that. I wouldn't expect it to be different than it was in Morrowind if we include it, and in Morrowind it was extremely minor.
I don't think we are including it, are we?
I don't know, but I mean, I certainly wouldn't expect to see that expanded upon at like it's either going to be the same or we're going to neutralize it because it just wasn't a very
I think in
interesting
Morrowind
mechanic.
It was like all contained to just women characters having higher speed and the male characters having higher strength.
Well, a lot of them just like switched random stats by 10. It was weird.
Okay, that's Morrowind. That's
As a
We
small
love it.
note, another thing that might we were talking about balance earlier. Another thing that might be making magic look very strong is these magic values are inaccurate. As you might have noticed, that thing that makes my fire spells do 50 times more damage currently costs no magicka. It's just something that's an in progress idea, and
Balancing balancing still is like ways ahead. It is like as you said, it will be done at the end of the development cycle.
Somebody's asking why there's only Dunmeri tombs and not Imperial ones on the island.
We're in
Dunmer
Morrowind.
We're in Morrowind. This is Dunmer territory.
It's
Yeah.
a holy place of the Dunmer.
I
Why
don't-
would
I-
there be imperial tombs?
I don't think they have tombs like this anyways, the Imperials. They just do like graveyards, don't they?
I think it's Bretons that do graveyards and mausoleums. I'm not certain about
Even in
Imperials.
even in Oblivion, there's like only like the alien tombs, right?
I think so,
Yeah, but
yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily say that Oblivion is canonical to Morrowind, if you get what I mean. Like, the lore has changed so much that like Morrowind should be the golden standard
Has a
when it comes to it.
has anyone here ever played Daggerfall? If you have,
Yes, I
you'll
did.
know that the Elder Scrolls lore changes a lot, but that's kind of what, obviously for our project we're sticking to what Morrowind says, but it's I think back to Daggerfall where everything is different, and it's like playing Morrowind and going like, nah, wait a minute.
If I could just grab a moment, I noticed that we have KMEFC in the chat. If all of y'all aren't subscribed to Magica Addict, great part of the community, does really good reporting on what's going on with mod projects. So just happy to see him around and show him some love too.
Magica, I actually just discovered your channel today. I was like, oh, I love this. Can't wait to see what else he does. Hi, hello, thank you for your work. It's a great contribution. Appreciate it.
Man, famous people joining us today.
Okay, I need to get out of here. I'm in danger.
What's
I'm in danger.
Yeah.
question I wanted? There's another question I saw that I wanted to answer.
Oh, God.
Find it now.
Oh god.
There's a skeleton
Oh,
after
no.
me.
Oh.
Oh no, a conveniently placed wall of branches. It's almost like whoever made this didn't want me to go that way.
Isn't that your tomb?
No,
One of your tombs?
I don't.
Okay.
I edited this one, but I did not make it.
Yeah,
okay,
this-
wait a minute.
Which, okay,
Not
here's a
not
good
the
question.
all-powerful test character being felled by a skeleton.
Which... Oh, heavens forbid, but it's a good question.
Oh, there's
Which
no
areas-
way. There's no way you're getting to use door jam.
Ah, crap!
Oh,
I also
there
don't,
we go.
I don't know how long I need to hold it because I've never tested this spell before.
You know, I think you are
is
gonna
your
join
gem
the
functional?
skeletons too.
Is Door Gem functional at the moment? Ah, there's more.
Oh god.
Hey, actually, I found a really good question, actually. People are asking, which area is currently the most complete?
That's an excellent question, and
I don't think
I would say that
yet.
level design wise, I would
Yeah.
aim at saying that West Gash, Ascadian Isles, those areas are the most complete, like pretty much the west coast of the island. Zafir Bay, it is my next goal. Azura's coast, it needs upgrade, but it is on its way. And Grazelands have just opened to
I did it.
matching, or will very shortly.
Oh, it worked.
I did
Well,
it.
the
It turns out I was
after-
using the wrong. This is a non-functional version of the spell. This is a functional version of the spell.
I think like Molag Amur and Northern Ashlands are also pretty much finished, and like everything that remains in Ashlands is just the Western Ashlands, which contain Aldrun and the lesser town that I don't remember the name of, and the Redrun stronghold, like this area.
Someone's asking if there'll be a gameplay demo video this year.
I don't think I have any plans.
I don't know what
Yeah, I
our
don't think there's
big video
any
plan
work
is
on it.
right at the moment.
Yeah, we don't have anything planned, I believe.
Holomayan Monastery, someone's asking about, also in progress.
We're still like recovering from the last developer diary, I think,
Yeah.
even though it's been a few months. Those are so much work, and I wasn't even really that involved with it. But
Somebody,
so much goes into that.
Someone's saying Door Jam finally is full. I did this all the time in Morrowind. I would constantly lock people in rooms. Genuinely, this is one of my favorite spells in Morrowind. I just really like locking enemies into rooms.
I mean, you know that is that strategic magic use that you mentioned before.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. Let's go say hi to him, right?
I will
No.
say that when it comes
No,
to
he almost
when
killed
it
you.
comes
Hello? Hi!
hello.
Oh god.
I will say when it comes to level design progression that it honestly just kind of depends on the area you're working on. Like residential stuff or like things with like really tight tile sets tend to be easier to like get a basis going and start iterating on.
Doesn't this door
But things for like caves or more complex interiors tend to kind of go to a crawl sometimes, especially if you're thinking of ideas. I can attest this. I'm currently working on Abenabi right now, and that's been interesting to just make specific zones or like sections tailoring it to each sort of gameplay style. It's been slow progress.
Yeah, it is like, I think that's why I kind of dislike working on dungeons. I rather prefer to be working on just environments or the civilization claims. When it comes to dungeons, you really have to take into consideration that there are many different kinds of players and everybody's going to approach this same problem differently. And so you have to account for that. And this is a skill that is incredibly hard to acquire.
I
And they really applaud people that do it.
I am the opposite of you. I vastly, vastly, vastly prefer working on dungeons to working on.
I'm just not creative.
It's that.
I'm just not
no,
creative.
You're plenty creative. For me, a thing I dislike about working on exteriors, is that exteriors. This is not. This is not. This is just a personal preference. Exteriors, you can approach something from any angle, which means you have to design an area that can be approached from any angle. Versus an interior, you kind of know the way the player's going to look at it, and therefore you can use a lot of artistic techniques, like sight lines, and color theory, and shape theory, and all these things, depending on the angle the player's looking at something. That's hard
That's
to do
true.
in exteriors. And that's why
I really like exteriors though, because exteriors, I like working on the same thing for a very long time. And so when I get a claim such as Grazelands, which I can work on for literally about a year, for me it is amazing. And I am kinda sad that sooner rather than later I'm gonna run out of such claims because like for me I only have two regions remaining, Zafirville Bay and Western Ashlands. Everything else other than Red Mountain is done from level design standpoint. I mean, it might need some fixes here and there, but those are very small claims that take like half an hour to finish.
Yeah.
Whereas like whole regions are just so amazing for me to work on. Like seriously, there's so much you can do with it. With dungeons, there's a problem that you kind of have to settle on a few things that you want to do. With regions, there's no such limitation. You can like create virtually any interesting shape that you want to do, if that makes sense.
I get
What I'm talking about.
Um,
Oh,
another scrib. The
don't
temptation.
Argyle,
don't
what do
do
you
it.
what about your department? I'm curious about your department. What's the progress looking like on that?
On
What's the
writing.
main focus? Yeah.
I mean, we're pretty good. We're not really accepting any new applicants at this time, just because we have a pretty solid lineup of active contributors. But I mean, we've pretty much we finished converting all the dialogue into Skyrim style. We more or less wrapped up work on quest lines, or it's otherwise in its final review stages. Or I mean, generally now what we kind of focus on is lore consultation. We focus on flavor text, kind of like supplementing like level design requests. And I mean, we just find odd jobs here and there. A couple of us have been focusing on some cool ideas for Red Mountain. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a at a glance look.
Argyle, people are curious about your Dunmary voice lines.
Are they?
They are.
Are you sure you're not just making that
Fan
up
on them?
for me?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
you.
I am
Are you talking about
I
Kami
am
with
people
talking
continue.
about the? Oh, Dunmaris. Okay.
Sorry, I read that wrong. My apologies.
Do the voice anyway.
Oh.
It would be funny.
No.
All right.
I'm not sure. Kami, if you wouldn't mind specifying the question a little bit, I'm not totally sure what you are asking.
Someone's asking also about Jub. I don't know what he looks like yet. Probably similar to how he did in Morrowind. But I do know he's voiced. I believe.
He's one of like the earliest characters we have voiced. I think.
Didn't
Seriously?
Sarov? No, I don't think. I didn't.
Yeah,
recall
it was
that
Sarah
was that long-
Synod.
That wasn't that long ago.
I don't know, old man.
I am still
That
waiting
wasn't. I
for a day.
can't be that long ago.
I'm just
All right,
waiting for
guys,
the
if you
day I
had to-
get to hear like Caius speak.
Ias Kosei is my favorite drug addict. Everyone's favorite drug addict.
He is our boy. Seriously,
Okay.
Caius is such an amazing character. And Newton, you are in an area that received some touch-ups in the recent months. I mean, not particularly this part, but you are in the Odai Delta, which previously had some very creative additions.
Yeah, but
Oh, wait,
working on the Bitter Coast has been an interesting experience as a whole team.
But now
I
it's
think this is
done.
one of our best regions, honestly.
It is, yes, definitely.
I'm very happy with how the
You know,
farming product looks.
I never realized this was a delta. Now that you point it out, I love it even more.
It looks great. I think Bitter Coast was always my favorite region, which is why, like many players, I set up my player home in the guy that you murder in Seyda Neen's house. Oh, well, there goes my torch.
If you guys had to choose one Morrowind spell type, or like one Morrowind spell class or tree, which one would you choose?
Just to have in real life? Is this the prompt I'm being given?
Yes.
Restoration breaks everything. You just get cure disease. Become a doctor. Same. This is the answer for all fantasy realms.
I think definitely destruction, just because I love the idea of shock magic.
What are you gonna shoot with shock?
I don't know what.
In real life, you go to the office. What are you gonna do with it?
my light bulb. I can power my light bulb. There you go.
You can pop your
Or
light
you
bulb.
could taste people, or you could even like save their lives if their heart stops. You know, that is kind
Just
of
use
Exactly.
healing. There you go.
You could be Palpatine.
So,
You could be
let me
popping.
live out my electric.
I-
Let me live out my electric boy dreams.
Skyrim was my first Elder Scrolls game, and when they gave me the level 1 shock spell, I definitely went
Oh,
around
yeah.
as Palpatine for sure on my first character.
Someone's asking about
But
Azura's
imagine
design.
in the real world, you could literally power a huge city if you had the power of Palpatine or Skyrim character. Like, meanwhile, the first thing we are talking about is powering a light bulb or tasing people.
Someone asked about Azura's design. It's pretty similar to just what it was in Morrowind and Skyrim. I don't know if we have the character model yet for her physical appearance, but her
Yeah.
statue is done, and her shrine is done. Although I'd go walk over and show it, but it is
Far away.
over
Yeah,
there.
just- I just
Also-
want to mention that we are not doing Gamer Girl Azura as much as I would love that.
Oh my god.
Also,
Oh,
chat,
I just want to get back to the Dunmirus question. Oh, sorry, I'm so much chaos now. Just because
No worries.
Kami specified what was going on with that. Basically, it's mostly Ashlanders who have really extensive Dunmirus. Most of the House Dunmer will just understand that you're an Outlander and you don't understand, and so they won't talk to you in Dunmirus. And just otherwise, we think it's really important for like a setting thing if we kind of like stagger like the foreign and alien stuff so that it doesn't overwhelm a player, but it just sequentially builds upon itself. So part of the subtlety of that is showing that the Dunmer, as a colonized people, even though they do resist the Empire a lot, they still speak its language very commonly, which is, you know, kind of reflecting of how a lot of that stuff goes in real life. But when you get out into the Ashlands, where there are these nomadic people who have not had as much contact with the Cyrodiilic Empire, they tend to maintain their native language a lot more, and they have their own features. And so it kind of like when the player really gets out there, and they feel super like an outsider when there's all this like Dunmirus that they can't understand, but is translatable should people want to go and figure that out.
I wanted to ask you a
Also-
follow-up question though, because I remember that there are some Kamunatong members in Vivek that speak Samarys. I think in No Name Club, perhaps.
Oh
Was
yeah,
that
I
also
think you're
intentional,
right.
that to show that their isolationism or like their dislike of Outlanders and their culture?
You know, that's honestly before my time. That's the first
Oh,
I've heard of
okay.
it. I support it. I think that's cool. I think that's super Kimono Tong to do, but yeah, I had no idea.
remember them being gatekeeping all the way.
I noticed that we've been running
come on.
for I think around an hour since ModCon ended. I think we'll probably wrap up sometime vaguely soonish.
Yeah.
Maybe within like 10 minutes till we'll hit the full hour. But before
So
then,
pe-
I'd like to go show off Balmora.
Yeah, so
Yes,
people, if you
I
have any
think you-
last minute questions, please send us our
that'd be-
way. Also, I was just gonna ask chat which type of spell class they would go for. You know, just type it in. Always glad to hear other people's opinions.
I just wanted to like voice my support for the class that was axed in later games, which is poison. I love poison spells; they are so cool. And like the green clouds, I just love role-playing a character that literally spreads blight and disease everywhere, or poisons everybody.
You get along well with Dagoth Ur. Share similar goals here.
Yes, I mean that maybe not the same because I don't really want to murder all of Outlanders, but I mean spreading disease sounds cool. Periites.
Oh, hey, by the way, a
followers.
small other thing that you might have noticed, that Slowfall spell did not completely negate fall damage. That was a bug in the original game that never got removed, which was that, Slowfall, a single point of, there's never ever a reason to use Slowfall beyond 1 point, because you already have 0 fall damage, and doing it more just is annoying, because now you fall slower. So you just do 1 point for 10 minutes, and that was what you did. Not how it works here. It actually is percentage based. Does not completely delete it.
You are
Also,
telling me that
Overseer.
after I failed so many times.
Overseer, Periite, with your love of his diseases, that is called chemical warfare. That goes against the Geneva Convention, which I'm sure somehow exists in this universe.
I am pretty certain the Geneva suggestion did not reach Morrowind yet.
You are...
Overseer.
Wow, you are a dedicated employee. It is pouring outside, and you are just here.
But she has the roof above her head, so I mean...
No, she does not.
Oh. But the warriors have the
Sometimes
roof above their heads. You
Listen,
could show
all
off
the
like some guild mages
I was
guild
thinking of
or
doing
like the
mages,
council
I was thinking
hall.
mages and fighters, or unless we wanted to...
Morak-Tung. You could the Morak-Tung received like an overhaul, and now it is not TARDISing anymore.
Oh, fantastic.
Such a stressful claim for me because I really wanted to preserve the original vibe of the location. However, at the same time, it was impossible with the layout that was inside. So it is scaled down significantly, but I still like it a lot.
Did you do
Sorry
your
for
wizardry on
interrupting
there,
all the time.
Overseer? Did you do your
Yeah, a lot
your
of
wizardry? Nice.
wizardry. Yeah, it is a very small location. However, it still has that great Morak-Tung vibe. Actually, I have learned recently that not all of their guild halls were completely red. I think the one in Sadrith Mora actually utilized the blue candles as well, which is interesting. But yeah, it is definitely smaller and it is cozy.
Uh-oh.
Uh,
You did it, Newton.
I
You
don't
did
know.
it.
I don't remember
Newton,
the right tongue.
how you so good at Morrowinding, my friend?
I am in fact, it's my extraordinarily high test character stats.
You know,
And
I'm
starting with a
still-
master unlock spell.
I am still very proud that you managed to contain your stealing instinct in the house of that one guy in Tel Vos. In Vos. See, I
Yes.
mistake the locations all the time.
I know.
That was like very proud. You still stole all of the guar eggs from the stall, so it is
Somebody
only like
mentioning wanting to put
50%.
their expertise in the houses of Morrowind or Balmora. This is the one. This is everyone's favorite house. I won't be going in here at the moment, but you know, I believe this. I joke about Seyda Neen being my first player home. I think this was my first player home when I played Morrowind. The Flawlow
Yeah,
Manor.
Appropriation.
Standard.
It was kindly appropriated. We'll go with that.
Adverse possession.
Well, that kind of is what it is. No one kicks you out. You just go in, and are like, well, no one's here. It's my house now. And then 15 years later,
Morrowind-
you get the legal deed.
I mean, technically in Morrowind, everything can be your house if you try hard enough.
If you try.
I mean,
You know
in
what
the
I'm excited
cities-
for? If this ever comes out, think about the player homes people are gonna make. Oh my god.
Yeah, obviously we don't have any player home plans beyond what was originally in Morrowind. However, Skywind, like all of these other big mods, I would hope, is going to be moddable, and we are very excited to see the mods that people make for them.
Yeah, and also we still have the great houses, strongholds, which are technically player homes, and they are very expansive. And well, if we try hard enough and make them beautiful, maybe there won't be such a need for player homes for people.
I want to point out
Still
also
modded.
the decor that's on the roofs of Balmora. It's not every roof, of course, but we wanted to make the city feel a lot more lived in. So you can kind of just catwalk around and see that people have actually been using these areas. I know there's one over here.
I feel bad
We've
for the
got
person with
a
the rug out
couple
during the
seconds
rain.
left, I think, before we hit the hour 30 mark. Any other questions before we close for Creation ModCon?
Yeah, yeah. Otherwise, we want to thank everyone for joining in with us, talking with us, shooting the shot with us, and in general, just giving us
Nice
good
save,
questions.
nice save.
Nice save.
PG.
I was going for that word. Don't worry.
Okay,
But
okay.
yes, any last minute questions we'd be happy to answer before we wrap up.
Yeah, and also please again, I know it's technically ModCon is over, but if you want to still consider donating to Doctors Without Borders, that would be really nice of y'all to support
absolutely.
people. And please join us and apply at the channel and join the Discord and just watch our dev videos. We'll happy to.
And
have
this
you.
is our Twitch channel, and we do stream here from time to time. We go through different waves of people being available to stream. One of our 3D lead Zix will often stream tile set work on here when he's got the time to do so. But yeah, this is our channel. We do development on here sometimes, and yeah, hope to see you guys soon. Maybe some of you will join the team. Here's hoping.
Also, Bedin, to quickly answer your question, the Kayas Sadrith romance, it's in your heart.
Yeah.
It's in your mind.
To appease everyone
one day.
that's asking to see Caius, I will stare at his front door and not go in.
Yeah, that's the end of the stream, people.
Yeah.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody.
Take care, everyone. I hope
Goodbye.
you all had a fantastic time, and have a good rest of your
Bye.
day.
And that's about all we've got for you today. Thanks for sticking around, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed. If you want to keep up to date with the project, if you want to learn more, if you want to contribute, please head on over to Skywind's Discord, link is in the description. Or, as usual, apply to volunteer at tesrskywin.com/volunteer. There are positions available on the team for people of all skill levels, even complete beginners. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.